Hello fellow collectors and welcome to Long's Toys. Today we have a brand new Star Wars Mission Fleet set to take a look at. This is the Mandalorian, the Blurg, and the Remnant StormTrooper. I wish these sets had more fun names, Showdown on Tatooine or something. I know this didn't take place on Tatooine, but I'm just saying some kind of cool set name instead of just literally listing the contents of the set, but here we are. So we do get a Mandalorian. Now the exciting thing to note right away is that this is the appearance of the Mandalorian from the very beginning of the series before he gets his full Beskar armor. Now previously we've had, I think at least two Mandalorian releases. The speeder bike set that he came in the first wave, and then we had the Mandalorian 5-pack, and he had the Beskar armor in both of those versions. So this is finally the original version of Mandalorian. It's not just the same figure again, which they could have easily done, but at least we're getting a variant now, something a little different, so it makes sense to add this to your collection. Now I'm assuming the Blurg is going to be exactly the same as the one that we saw in the pack from Wave 2, but we'll compare. And then we get another Stormtrooper over here. Now, I guess the Remnant Stormtroopers are a little bit more dirty and banged up, and we'll compare that to the one that came in the Mandalorian 5-pack as well. So, pretty cool. Very excited for this set. Kind of the first of Wave 3 to trickle out, which is pretty cool. Now, you can see on the back here that these are all just Wave 1 releases, so I'm not really sure where this falls in terms of what wave it's officially part of. I would assume it's part of Wave 3, but I'm kind of wondering if to Mission Fleet they're not really concerned about official waves, just kind of how they're dumping out product. But yeah, all three of these were in Wave 1, so not really sure. But you can see 1-to-1 actual size. This is how big they are, which is pretty cool. So I'm going to go ahead, get these guys out of the packaging, and we're going to take a closer look. So here we have the set out of the packaging, and of course we got to start with Mando. He looks really great. I'm really happy to get a figure for the first appearance where he has kind of the more multicolored armor, more brown, a little bit of blue here on the shoulder. He does have a cape, which is removable. You can go ahead and unpeg this like so. Still got the silver helmet, and that is on a ball joint, so you can get a lot of good movement, tilt side to side, up and down, rotation. He's got a little bit of hindrance in the shoulder because of the way the armor is molded. You can get a decent amount, but not as much as some of the other figures, just because that piece of the shoulder there kind of gets in the way. But you have a full rotation. You do have a hinge, although it's limited. You have a swivel in the wrist. Now this almost feels like it wants to pop out, and I think you can pop these out, but I'm not going to try just in case. And then you have individual leg movement 90 degrees. You can go back a little bit, but mostly it's meant to go forward. But yeah, he looks good. I'm going to go ahead and pop the cape back on here. He does not come with a jetpack, which makes sense because at this point he didn't have the jetpack. He does come with his two accessories though. So he has his pistol. You can go ahead and pop into his hand. I really wish he had some kind of storage like on his leg, but I understand it would make it kind of giant and bulky, so I get it. And then he does have his long-range rifle. Again, I wish you could clip this onto his back somehow, but I don't really know how they would make that work. So those are the two accessories he has. And real quick, we'll do a comparison with the previous version of Mando, the full Beskar armor. You can see the helmet's basically the same, and it's the same figure, just painted differently. But still, I mean, they did a really nice paint job on this guy, and he's got the same accessories. I mean, the guns are the same. The rifles are the same as well. But yeah, I mean, it is just the same figure, but I'm happy that they decided to paint it differently, so it is kind of a variant. So we're not just getting the exact same Mando figure over and over again, because I know they have another set for the Razor Crest coming out later this year or next, and that's going to have, I believe, the same Beskar armor Mando, so that'll be our probably third version of that figure, but at least this one is slightly different. Now, if you want him to ride the Blurg, you do have to take his cape off, and he looks a little goofy without the cape, but there's not really any way around it. And then you can go ahead and just kind of pop him under here. And if you want, you can put one of his hands to grab hold of the, I guess, handlebars. I don't really know what else to call these. But that looks pretty cool. And the Blurg itself looks great. You have the opening and closing mouth, and really nicely painted. I mean, look at that. The teeth are painted. The inside of the mouth looks great. Really nice attention to detail there. All the work around the eye. The eye itself is really beautifully painted. You have a hinge here and a rotation for the arm. You have a rotation in the leg. And then you have, I'm assuming what's a limited ball joint here on the tail, because you can kind of go up and down a little bit and side to side. So these guys always kind of remind me of Sharkticons from Transformers. Just what definitely they look like. If it was like a pure organic Sharkticon, you'd have the Blurg. Now the Blurg does come with his own accessory. You have the firing missile launcher, which is pretty much the play pattern for Mission Fleet. They're just little spring-loaded missile launchers. Pop that in, go ahead and fire. And then you do have this port that can kind of peg in. All the sets have these ports around, so you can mix and match the blasters. Now this one looks a little smooshed, and my first Blurg was the same way, but you can get this in here, and it can just peg into either side. And again, just to do a comparison with the Blurg from the other set, I believe they are exactly the same. But I mean, it makes sense. I mean, in the show we saw each of them riding a Blurg. So now we can go ahead and bring both of these guys in. And then they can ride together to find the child. I have spoken. So there you go. Very cool. I always wanted a second Blurg, and now I don't have to rebuy that first set to get it. So I'm happy. Plus we get this cool new version of Mando. Oops, and I'm bending the cape. There we go. But let's not forget, there is a Stormtrooper in this set as well. He looks pretty cool. I've always been a fan of the Stormtrooper design, and they do a great job with it in Mission Fleet. Really nicely detailed. He's got a couple of scuff marks here, and he does come with a small blaster. So we can go ahead and pop that in his hand. It's a little loose. I wish it was a little bit snugger, but still pretty good. He's got pretty much the same articulation ball joint for the head. He fares a little better in the shoulder articulation department because he has kind of a smooth shoulder pad there. Full rotation, hand swivel, and then individual 90-degree leg bends. And then we'll do a quick comparison with the Stormtrooper that came in the Mandalorian 5-pack. You can see this is a much starker white, and it is clean. This guy's definitely been roughed up and been in the desert for some time. He also doesn't have the blue lines on the helmet, and he does. So I'm not sure if this is like a later model of Stormtrooper. It would make sense because he's kind of a remnant from the leftover Empire. But yeah, he's a little bit more off-white. But still cool. Definitely add some Stormtroopers to your collection. So always nice to have more of those. So honestly, I think this is a pretty great set. Like I said, I always wanted a second Blurg, and I was contemplating buying a second version of the first set, but I didn't want to get two of this little guy, whose name escapes me at the moment. I always just call him the I have spoken guy. I think he's an Ugnaught, if I'm not mistaken. So I didn't necessarily want to have two of these, but I wanted two Blurgs, and I'm glad I held off, because this set arrived. You get an extra Stormtrooper. I'm always down to have more Stormtroopers, and I'm really happy to have this new version of, or I should say old version of Mando from before he got the Beskar armor. If you're going to keep giving us Mando figures, it makes sense to give us some variety, so I'm really happy about that. I also think that the color of cape is lighter. You can see there, the newer one is darker. This is kind of a lighter gray, so that way if you wanted to use this cape for somebody else, it gives you some variety for some customization possibilities. Getting kind of the same pieces, but at least a new color scheme. So I think this is a great set. I found this on Walmart.com. I want to say it was $15, but maybe it was $20. I honestly can't remember, either $15 or $20. But I definitely think it's worth it. You get 3 great figures here. You get the spring-loaded missile, a ton of accessories, and I'm really happy to add this to the collection. So let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Please like, share, and subscribe. Hope you guys enjoyed the video, and as always, thanks so much for watching.